So what would a 50-year mortgage even look like?
I'll show you guys what a 50-year mortgage would look like.
Great to be with you, Charlie.
Also, can I say, like, I will say politics, like, as I'm sure you guys have known from watching the stream, politics, like electoral politics is not my special interest, but I will say anything business related is kind of a little bit of a special interest for me. Because you absolutely can be an economist. You can absolutely be like a Marxist economist. It's about using these tools to build a better world. It's just that, like, when you go to Business Bros school, they just tell you capitalism is the best in every single way, and you should believe in capitalism because it always is perfect in every single way. But you can still use the tools that economists use to build a system that isn't Marxist literally economist. I mean, yeah, like, look at Richard Wolff. Go and watch Richard Wolff. And I had at least one Marxist professor, not in business. It was my law professor. But I had one professor who was an economist professor of mine. It was like, I forget which econ class. It was like my econ calc class. And he uses his degree to help build better transit systems in New York. He was hired by the state, by the city. And he like showed a bunch of models that he uses in addition to teaching, because a lot of professors also work on other things as well, because teaching doesn't really pay that much. And he showed us like these models that he's worked on for like where to build bus stops. How often should buses show up? If you're trying to reduce congestion and you're trying to reduce car usage in a city, you go off of like previous historical data, you go off of polling, surveys, whatever, and then you can build better systems for everyone involved, right? Because if you can track human behavior and you can be like, oh, well, if people are 2 minutes away from the closest bus stop and the bus is under 10 minutes, they will always take the bus over driving. And you can use all of these models that we use for like capitalism, but actually use them for a better system. Like, I don't know, like a Marxist system. So yeah, let me show you guys what a 50-year mortgage would look like, which goes back to what Gary was talking about here. If people are getting poorer, but you want people to be able to afford homes, what's the solution? You make them pay more interest. You make them get in more debt. Also, dude, it was honestly such a red flag for me when I realized that the most fun part in MMOs for me, or the second most fun part in MMOs for me, is markets. Like, the most depressing thing about ARC Raiders right now is that there's no market. I missed trading in Tarkov. Auction hall addicts. Please, ARC Raider devs, please put a market. Please. Please put a market. You would love Warframe. Warframe, I'm not going to lie. That was the only part of Warframe I like. CSGO skin trading arc. I'm going to be honest with you. I ran all the numbers on that. It's always more profitable to just buy the skin. Unfortunately, that market is super oversaturated. There's no trade that's worthwhile. Now, I haven't looked at it since they added knife trading, but that market crashed hard. I'm pretty sure people killed themselves after that, which is really depressing. But I did run the numbers on that, and I'm telling you, it's not profitable, unfortunately. I will say I do miss Tarkov's market. It's the one thing that I like more about Tarkov than Arc Raiders. So I do have a bit of a special interest on Denims flirting with the white collar crime arc. Listen, when it's in a video game, it's different, okay? It's like you play, well, let me guess, you play Crusader Kings and you're like, I'm going to be a total pacifist. Fuck off. I know you've committed 100 war crimes. Don't look me in the eyes and be like, I didn't do anything. You didn't just murder that whole village? Really? You didn't just orchestrate a coup so that your kid could become the future prince or king of fucking Austria or whatever? Yeah, sure, buddy, sure. Like, we're all innocent around here. But let me just say, I do like to fuck with markets. I do like to fuck with markets in video games. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's like a fun little mini game. It's like, let's see how much wealth I can accrue. But just because you do it in the game, just because you genocided a group of people in the video game because you wanted to get the territory, doesn't mean you think it's a good system in real life. Did you ever get into Eve? No, I skipped that one, unfortunately. I did skip that one. Yeah, so if the only solution to pretend like you're going to help homeowners or like future homeowners is to say, look, we're going to have longer mortgages, what will actually happen? You'll raise interest rates eventually. And the same price or the same home will cost you way more in interest payments. And I've talked about this before. Depending on your city and depending on what interest rates are, depending on what the Fed says any given week or quarter, more reasonably, there are a lot of cities where mortgage payments And property taxes and maintenance costs for a home end up costing more than rent prices. And I've had this conversation a couple times on stream, and I know people sometimes will get a little upset at me when I'm talking about this, but you can speak to homeowners, and depending on the city you're on, and depending on the interest rate, and depending on the mortgage that you got, there are a lot of cities where the homes, your mortgage payment and your repairs average over the course of like a year for every month or whatever, and your property taxes end up becoming more expensive than renting, than like your literal rent payments. And it's because you're paying all of this money, all of the money that you are losing in rent to a landlord. With your mortgage, you're just losing it to a bank, right? Now, I'm not saying it's always the case that renting is better, or that renting is cheaper, than home owning. And I'm not saying it's always the case that having a mortgage is cheaper than renting. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's dependent on the city, it's dependent on interest rates, it's dependent on the deal that you got with your city, and it's dependent on like the cost of things randomly going up or down. Yeah, but you own a property versus you don't. Okay, I know we've gotten into this a million times. I'm going to try my best. This time I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it though. I'm going to kill it this time. If. This is a big if. All right? This is a big if. If you live in, for example, New Jersey, where New Jersey, you are constantly dealing with property taxes being obscenely expensive, and more recently, energy prices going up. And everyone knows if you live in a home, your energy prices are going to be worse than if you live in a complex, because the complex is cheaper to run. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but all utilities are more expensive when they're in a home versus when they're shared across a bunch of units in a complex. Okay? Now, if you live in a home and your costs are going up and your maintenance is going up and your property taxes are going up, like for example in New Jersey, where a lot of homeowners are struggling, and your average monthly cost for that home is like $3,000 versus potentially renting in New Jersey, economies of scale, you know what I'm talking about. Potentially the same price, or sorry, like about the same square footage that you would want, $2,500 for renting. If you can afford the $3,000 for your mortgage, that extra $500 that you're saving here, you would put it in like any mutual fund, or you would put it in like, if you want to go super safe, like a US bond, although I don't know how safe it is today under Trump's economy. Or you can put it in a high yield savings account. But realistically, the stock market is always going to outperform the housing market. A CD, yeah. The equity that you are losing out on by not owning a home is made up by the fact that the stock market outperforms the housing market consistently. And if you don't believe me, you can go and look it up. Housing prices, and again, this is city dependent, this is state dependent, right? But if this is like your valuation of your home over the course of like 50 years, this is what the stock market would look like. And again, you can go look at it. You can go take a look. Basically, the equity, this is like a common trick that capitalists in the United States use to convince Americans that owning a home is the only way to be a true American, and to limit Americans' minds to not believing in a world where we can have Vienna-style housing, that we can have Vienna-style public housing. Americans are super car-brained, super suburban-brained, and it's because of the manufactured consent that if you don't have a home, you are failing the American dream. And so Americans can't imagine a world where we have public housing that isn't dog shit, where we have public housing that prevents the same isolating problems of the suburbs, where we have dense housing that's better for the planet, better for everyone involved, where we have public housing that lets you have a community, like an actual community. Once you like, it's very like Matrix, very glass world shattering view when you realize that like Americans have been so propagandized into believing that they need to have a home to have made it in America, like the white picket fence, the car, living in the suburbs, whatever. When in reality, a big part of that is because of the car industry convincing everyone that they need this so we can all stay car reliant. And there's a reason we don't have a whole lot of media or a whole lot of love for the idea of like public housing. And it's by design. Now, again, there's a lot of variables involved. A lot of variables involved. Happy Cities is a great book to read about this. I haven't personally read that, but I will put it on my list. Wish we had more walkable cities. And you can only have walkable cities with dense public housing. Or like you can only have affordable walkable cities with dense public housing. And dense public housing doesn't have to innately be bad. It's just Americans, again, have only had bad landlords. So they can't imagine a world where you have a complex that's cooperatively owned by everyone in the complex. And when repairs need to get done, repairs get done. When the building needs to be improved, the building gets improved. Okay, I get this logic, but I don't sell my apartment when I'm done. Okay, so this is my point, right? If you live in a unit, if you live in a house and you end up paying more per month on your complex, or not on your complex, on your home, than you would if you're renting, all of the equity that would have, or all of your like cash that would have gone to the housing cost, you can reinvest it elsewhere. If you have the money, for example, in New Jersey, for like a $3,000 a month average cost, so that's mortgage, repairs, property taxes, etc. That money that you would save maybe with public housing would all be reinvested. And the reality is homes do not appreciate in value at the same level that the stock market does. I'm sorry, this is facts. This is factually true, okay? Having liquid cash that you can reinvest is better than having a home. Because you know what? You can't, if your home explodes or you live in fucking East Palestine and then there's a fucking a train track derailment, your home is worth nothing. You've lost all of it. It's gone. You live on like a beachfront side, or like you live in Miami and a hurricane just fucking takes your house. It's gone. You have nothing. The liquid is always better. But the thing is, it's just that Americans are like, again, this is a very America-brained thing to say. And I'm not saying it as like a way to shit on you. It's manufactured consent by the state to convince people that housing should appreciate in value. When in reality, we should have a housing market closer to what China's system is, which is housing prices go down because you buy the home because you want to live in a home. You don't buy the home because you expect it to appreciate in value so you can sell it later. That should not be the purpose of buying a home. That's why you don't buy a house on a floodplain or near roads or train tracks. Okay, how about like a fucking, we run out of fucking air traffic controllers and a plane fucking crashes into your house. Then what do you do? The idea that there are no environmental factors that can destroy your house is ridiculous. But you're saying housing shouldn't be a commodity? But genuine question, doesn't rent always go up though? Okay, so and then this is another thing. This is what I keep explaining, right? There's a lot of things that make it really hard to talk about this issue among other Americans because there are so many things that are wrong with our system. But this is the opinion or like this feeling, genuine question, but doesn't rent always go up? Wouldn't it be better to pay more money for something that you'll eventually own? The American mind cannot comprehend good public housing. In a good, just world, we would have public housing that's maintained by the state, that scales based on your income, that doesn't deteriorate, and that doesn't magically start charging you an obscene amount of money. The reality is what I'm talking about is something that can only exist in a world that has all these other factors laid out well. We're just getting fucked on every front is the problem. Vienna is already doing it. Vienna's socialized housing. Yep. This is the entire concept behind a rent freeze. Yep. Okay, so now we're talking in circles, chat. Now we're talking in circles. Rent, you own nothing. I buy a house, it increases with worth, builds equity, you sell at a profit. Homes should not do this. You shouldn't. This is the reason we have landlords. This is the reason we have Airbnb fucking cities. Homes shouldn't do this. The purpose of buying a home shouldn't be that you can eventually sell it if you want to. That's part of the problem, right? The reality is if you have the money to pay every month, and this is a hypothetical where rising costs are everywhere, where you have like $3,000 a month for home costs. And I swear to God, if I see one comment that's like, who the hell is spending $3,000 a month on their home? You've lost the plot. You've lost the plot, unfortunately. The money that you would save potentially by renting would be reinvested. And you don't have to like be a fucking stock expert to, like get into CDs, right? Like 2 to 3K is a common mortgage payment for homes. Well, and this isn't even, 3K, I'm not even talking about as an average like mortgage. It's also like, let's say your mortgage is like $2,500. And then like your average property taxes every month are like $250 over the course of like a year. Let's say you pay $250 a month. And then maybe every year you have to repair something that costs like $1,000, right? Maybe let me say $1,200 so that it's an easy number. I could just say 100, right? Like that this stuff always adds up. Homes also don't always appreciate in value. This is also true. Homes can also be subject to random fucking nonsense that, like, for example, CDs can. This is also true. If your home just fucking, if you lived in like the Palisades, or even not in the Palisades, in one of the other cities that had, in LA that was subject to a fucking fire, what do you fucking do? Your home is fucking gone. Also, don't forget about HOA fees. Don't forget about insurance costs. Yeah, all of this stuff adds up to a very hefty bill and a very hefty fine. So you can end up paying more in your mortgage. And the thing is, what people don't understand about mortgages is they think that all the money is going to their home. Sorry, that sounded like condescending. I don't want it to come off that way. The problem is, because you know you're going to get a home out of the end of the mortgage, if, by the way, you don't have any catastrophic like medical debt that destroys your ability to own your home anymore, if, by the way, you don't have to sell your home because of something else, just really quickly, just to be very fucking clear. And by the way, you can take if you have liquid cash or it's sitting in like a CD or whatever, it's fine. You can basically go wherever you need to go if you need to leave. You can't just necessarily sell your home at any time in the year on any given day. If the market is down and you're going to lose money on your house, there's a good chance you're not going to sell it. There's fees if you close on your CD early. Yeah, but you know what you're signing up for beforehand, and it doesn't mean that you're signing up for like a 30-year CD. What was I talking about? Here's one of the better videos on housing in a non-capitalist focused market. Maybe we can watch this. But we've talked about the Vienna housing, the affordable housing there. What was I saying? Sorry. Wait. I had a point. No, there was one other thing. Oh, the thing with mortgages is there's a good chance like half of your mortgage is just going straight to a bank. I mean, I genuinely do recommend, and I genuinely do suggest, if anyone in here is a homeowner, go and check what your mortgage says and see how much of that is going to your bank and how much of that is actually going towards your house. And see if over the course of many, many, many years, you could have taken all that extra money that you were putting towards your mortgage and could have been reinvesting it elsewhere, and check like the rent in your area and see if whether or not you would have actually kept and saved the same amount of money. This is the most important thing that I've been trying to explain. If like for 15 years, you've had a mortgage and you've paid over the course of 15 years, you've paid like $100K in interest on your home to the bank. And this money literally went straight to the bank, right? All of this money that ended up going to the bank, how much of that money could you have saved and put like in a CD or like in a high yield savings account or in like just like any mutual fund over the course of 15 years? There's a reasonable chance that in these two cities, in a city, that housing and rent prices potentially, because of bank loans, unless you're paying for your houses in cash, in which case, who the hell are you, dude? Why am I talking to you about equity? Not to mention mortgage insurance on your housing must go up. We've had 60K homes built in Houston since Harvey. Those 60K homes have been built in areas that got flooded to shit by Harvey. These ain't cheap either, like 250K to 750K houses in Texas. Yep. Just got on, we're talking about the 50-year proposed mortgage. Yep. Does that make sense? And this is the other point that I've been trying to make as well, right? All of the money that you just paid to your bank over the past however long, I genuinely mean this, like really genuinely. Look into your mortgage. See how much you've paid. Really, genuinely. Look into your mortgage, see how much you've paid to your bank. How much of it went to the actual principal of the house and how much of it went to interest on your house to the bank. And if you had reinvested that into like S&P 500, you probably would have made more and you'd probably have more. According to Google, 100K 15 years invested in S&P would be worth around 750K today. Well, let me see if I can just like find it so I can show you guys. Housing market versus S&P. But it's because there's a fundamental misunderstanding on whether or not housing should be a commodity. And the reality is housing should not be a commodity. Here. S&P 500 since 1975 to 2020. Case-Shiller National Home Price Index 1975 to 2020. The reality is over the course of many, many years, the stock market should and has outperformed the housing market because houses don't appreciate in value at the same extent and at the same degree. So a lot of people are like, but then I own my home at the end. Well, how much of the money went to the bank that you could have put in the S&P 500? Or put in a CD if you want to be really, really safe. Homes appreciate in value much slower than other things do. And they're a way riskier item than other things. The only reason people should be buying homes is because they want to live in a home. Right? Homes are risky. And this is why the rich get more rich. They have the excess capital to invest beyond their basic housing needs so they can afford to invest in the much better and safer returns. Totally accurate. Yep. If it's so risky, why is everyone a landlord? Well, it's risky if you're the one paying your own mortgage. It's not risky if you're overcharging tenants to pay your mortgage for you. But again, that's because landlords own the capital, so they get to make the investment. If you own your home fully, entirely, or you paid in cash, that was a great, and depending on the city and the state and blah, 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 that was probably a great purchase on your part. If you didn't have to pay, or you paid a very small amount on interest because you got really lucky, or you bought right after the 2008, stock market crash, you fucking lucked out. You became the capital owner. But if you are not the capital owner, and you're getting railed by mortgage prices, and you're getting railed by insurance prices, and you're getting railed by HOA prices, there is a possibility that you live in a city where renting would actually save you more money because you can reinvest that money. And after 15 years, yeah, maybe after 15 years, or like, let's say 30 years, right? Let's say you had a 30-year mortgage. Maybe between the difference between renting and owning a home, yeah, you would have owned this home that maybe appreciated into like $300K. Or if you had reinvested, it's possible that you could be sitting on like $700K, just having thrown it into a mutual fund or paying into a credit union or whatever. The reality is so much of the money that you're paying in your mortgage is going to a bank. You're not the capital owner. You're not the person hoarding the wealth. A bank is, or a landlord is. You're the indentured servant. Okay, so now we're looping again a little bit. We're going in circles a little bit here. Not owning your home, what are your options? Rent, worry about a landlord kicking you out, or raising the rent on a whim? So again, this goes back to the fact that Americans, unfortunately, don't know what it's like to live in a unit that they rent that isn't owned by a landlord. Because we have never been able to perceive or see housing, public housing, the way that it's done in, for example, Austria or like Vienna. We can't imagine that world where there's public housing that is scaled based on your income, that has amenities, that lets you live in a walkable city, that doesn't go up in price. If we could imagine a better world, we could have a better world. Allow me to show you. Allow me to show you. I know you're showing me this video. I haven't seen this one, but I have seen this one and I show it all the time. Hold up. As per usual, I can only find the fucking Hassan react. No, it's not this one. It's a different one. Hold. I'm trying to find it. Pausers. I found it. You look at this video and tell me that dealing with the stress of owning a home is better than living in a walkable city with rent that doesn't increase, that has community, and that has all of these amenities.
So is this what you think of when you think of council housing?
This is
council housing is just not rent stabilized, public housing.
Erla, a social housing estate on the outskirts of Vienna. It may look like tough, brutalist architecture, but actually, it's humane, caring design of the highest order.
Oh, wow. Look at that. They've even got an indoor swimming pool as well.
They have nurseries, schools, and tennis courts all conveniently on site.
Public housing with indoor tennis courts, dude. That's disgusting. You know what? Everybody talks about income inequality. How about we start talking about the inequality between, like...
To put down roots, giving them stability. I mean, just imagine if I proposed a high-density council housing estate with loads of swimming pools, indoor and outdoor, clubs, play spaces. I'd be left out of town because everybody would say you couldn't do that.
With 10,000 residents, Alt Erla...
Of course, these are on the outskirts, right? But they also have public transportation, so they can easily, you know, without even spending an arm and a leg, go to their place of work if it's in the city.
Has the highest density living in Vienna. But you'd never guess that from the peaceful atmosphere.
Monica.
Hi.
Hi, so nice to see you.
Monica pays the equivalent of £600 a month.
Look at that. That person...
£600 a month.
This person literally is like...
Shut
you know,
up. Stop interrupting the video,
the equivalent
Boyd.
of £600 a month rent for her flat. Back in Harlow, temporary accommodation can give you a quarter of the size for almost the same rent. And with the Viennese having such secure tenancies, there's little temptation to buy. So Monica has no stress of being moved on, which is handy, as her dad Heinz lives in the block next door.
How long have you lived here?
40 years.
40 years?
40 years.
Amazing.
Yes.
Why is this place so special?
Because we have everything here. Everything we need.
We have 15 physicians, doctors. We have all the shops.
Groceries, drugstores.
For schools.
For schools.
And you have
We
your own
everything.
TV channel.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So if there's any pottery classes tonight, we send it and we inform the people. Yeah, okay, tonight is
Okay, I totally see the fucking envy thing. I'm literally mad that they're living in such good circumstances for so cheap because the government has actually done what the government is supposed to do. I'm actually mad. Like, this is fucking bullshit. I say this as someone who literally has a house now. And
One TV channel, ... LOL. A TV channel dedicated to the residents of the building that get to advertise if they're having pottery classes. Obviously, they have all the other TV channels and internet, duh. Can you imagine if your complex of like 500 people had a TV channel where they advertise, hey, I'm doing like a pottery channel or like a pottery thing. Feel free to, it's one dedicated channel for everyone in your community.
and it's fucking bullshit, okay? No, fuck it, dude. No, I want them to not be in a good situation. Sorry, to the 3 people watching me from Vienna, it's so many people. Just
Shut up,
it's
boy.
pottery class.
That's so cool. It feels to me like it's an amazing hotel.
It is.
A 5-star hotel. The swimming pool is always cleaned. It's always ready to use. The sauna is always ready to use.
I would live here in a second, in a heartbeat. In Britain, we have a kind of negative.
California's local economy doesn't reflect the rest of the U.S., dude. 600 pounds per month is not cheap.
Huh? I'm not even gonna, that chatter, I'm gonna go into a fucking stun lock.
A fucking stigma here in America because, like, we don't.
Housing, stigma around council housing, government housing. Do you have that here?
The worst stigma.
It's the same thing, by the way, with transportation. In the United States, we have Section 8 housing, but it's so underfunded, and it's incorrectly funded, by the way, because correctly funding public housing means that it's a sliding scale based on your income. That if you make a lot of money and you want to live in one of these buildings that's really well maintained, you pay a little bit more than someone who makes a little bit less money. So you get to fund it by having lots of different varieties of people living in the building, right? And you're not subject to all this other nonsense and bullshit, and you actually fund the program correctly. Similar to like USPS or whatever, right? I'm not going to get too deep into it. But it's like public transportation where, like, if you try and tell an American, like a true red-blooded American, that like trains and buses are cool, if they've never been to a city that has good public transportation, they literally, you're talking to them in a different language. They're like, ew, I would never get on the bus. And it's because buses in our brains, in American brains, are like, they're always late. They don't get you to where you need to because they don't have full access to the city. And only the poors take them. Whereas in New York, everybody takes the bus. Everybody takes the train. There's no stigma associated to that. Driving is cringe. Being a driver is cringe in New York. I gotta go park my car like a loser. 1 second, guys. I'm still finding parking. Don't worry, guys. I'm gonna find parking any minute now. Oh, you guys are done? Okay, well, I guess I'll go home and find parking once I get home. Loser. Hello? Oh my God. Cringe. And it's the same thing with public housing. Public housing in America is so shit. It's so underfunded. It's incorrectly managed just overall to the point where we can't imagine a world that has good public housing. Are you kidding me? I would never want to own a home if I could live in a place like this. Now, if you own like dogs or something and you want a yard, I understand that. I kind of understand that. But if you lived in a complex where you could take your dogs down to the fucking dog park, where you and all your other 500 neighbors get to go, maybe your opinion would be different. Or if you had like a big enough patio, maybe your opinion would be different, right? But like for most people don't need a fucking home. Like most people would, and this is my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think most people haven't experienced what good living could be like in large density, in like a what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? A dense apartment complex. I don't know what else to fucking call it. I'm like blanking on the name. That the subsidized housing actually isn't shit. High density homes, high density living. Stuff like this also solves loneliness problems. We have very little community in the States due to housing and car culture. And again, realistically, living in a house where you're like 5,000 miles away from fucking civilization is just kind of depressing. It's like, oh, I have a yard that I never use. I have these stairs I have to climb every time I want to go to the bedroom. This is so great. I'm sorry. I genuinely believe this. People would give up a little bit of square footage and they would give up a yard for a community garden, for like a community park, for a community tennis, a court, for a community dog park. They would give all that stuff up to have like a walkable city, to have community, and to have rent stabilized homes, basically, effectively rent stabilized. I genuinely believe that the vast majority of people would fall into this. And then all the asocial losers can go live in homes in the middle of fucking nowhere. Thanks for putting on Hassan, bro. Is late. It's helping me cope. Again, this goes back to not being able to, because you haven't experienced it at its best, you can't imagine it exists. I've never lived in an apartment. I don't know why this is not loading, but I could not imagine enjoying people right on the other side of the wall, ceiling or floor, always hearing their arguments or music or whatever, or let them hear me. There's something about the peace and privacy. I'm going to tell you, good apartment complexes, as someone who's lived in New York apartments and as someone who's lived in really nice California apartments, good soundproofing means you don't have paper walls. I will tell you guys, I don't know, the soundproofing in my current complex, the only time I have ever heard my neighbors ever is when I have had upstairs neighbors with a dog, a big dog, and I heard their like dog walking around. And that's it. Like good apartment complexes should have, or like good public housing should have like some concrete in between the fucking units so you don't hear your neighbors. Like the unit that I live in right now is so good that I can't even hear things. It like someone can be throwing a party outside, and if I close my window, I don't hear it anymore. I open my window, it's blaring loud. I close it, I don't hear anything anymore. It's just Americans live in paper mache homes. I believe you. I would definitely be into it then. Sure, I'm all for public housing, all for the cost of living to be lower. Yeah. These materials cost too much. Got to think of the profit margin. Cardboard and duct tape and smoke and mirrors of America, unfortunately real. Mike showed this one the other day. Vienna City of the Future. Vienna is creating a sustainable district for 30,000 people. It's a laboratory for energy-saving household and urban mobility, short distances, few cars, and adapting to climate change are key elements of the Lakeside District. And like this is like the last part of this that I will say, by the way. I don't know why I can't. Where's the? Oh, it's a video. It's a video. I was like, where's the article? I was like, boomer ass Mike is reading articles, not watching videos. I'm like, where's the article? This is also the funny thing about all the fucking dumb fuck libs that are like, China is building ghost cities. It's like, you mean building cities that will be livable and walkable and then populating those cities? Oh, you mean like planning infrastructure?
The Austrian capital, Vienna, is creating a completely new district. Seestadt Aspern is being constructed on a former airfield on the outskirts of town. 27,000 people are to live here one day. It's a testing ground for sustainable housing and living. The subway was built long before the first house was erected. It only takes 15 minutes to get from the center of the capital to Vienna's newest district. It's meant to be car-free, so bikes can be rented everywhere free of charge.
A very important aspect was the connection to public transport, right from the beginning. The first step was excavating the lake, and then the subway was built.
Oh my God, free? I would guess it's probably similar to like, or not, I don't know what I was going to say similar to. It's probably just like linked to whatever your credit card is. So they have your credit card information. So if you take the bike, then you pay for it. Or if you don't bring it back within like the 24 hours, you probably pay for it or whatever. Or if it like gets destroyed, then, you know, you probably file it. Kind of like the way that we have shopping carts. Everyone can use the shopping carts. Everyone gets to enjoy the shopping carts. And when shopping carts need to get repaired, they get repaired. Also, yeah, obviously, it's free the way that other things are free and that you pay for it with your taxes.
The idea was that people knew from the start they could travel here using public transport, instead of at first taking their car and then having to relearn their behavior and get used to taking the subway.
The construction of Seestadt Aspern is being supported by several research teams. Magdalena Bürbäumer and Florian Püringer are investigating in a mobile lab how the residents of Seestadt travel. They get the data from an app, which I also download directly onto my cell phone. For the next few days, it will automatically record all the routes that my camera team and I take, plus info about the means of transport used and our CO2 consumption.
Oh, this is the other thing people are not prepared for. High density living is so much better for the planet. And it's not close. The suburbs are like a water sink and a money sink. And an energy sink, excuse me. Not a money sink, sorry. The amount of water and electricity that goes into powering the suburbs is actually disgusting.
The young researchers also go from house to house to distribute questionnaires.
We need to know what the status quo is and monitor it continuously, because there are changes in individual behavior, and simultaneously, Seestadt Aspern is changing as well. It's still under construction. It's 1/3 built, so there's still potential for the district to use new info for the next construction phase.
The mobile lab shares its data with anyone who's interested. Companies, city planners, and
To be fair, they're also a money sink because it costs so much more in infrastructure compared to an urban environment. Also true, but I was talking about the environmental factors. The energy sink and the water sink is crazy. Obviously, lawns play a big factor in that, especially lawns in cities that don't have a lot of rain. California, New Mexico, Nevada,
and the residents themselves.
Texas.
The data is especially important for the planning phase. The new district is meant to learn from its mistakes.
Arizona.
At first, it was tolerated that you park your car in front of the door just in order to make your move easier. But that behavior quickly became established and turned into a habit. And when it was later penalized, there was a big fuss, although it was never planned that parking would be allowed there. So one of the things we've learned is to work with the development company to make sure that these things are taken into account in the newly built areas.
All over Seestadt Aspern, there are multi-story parking houses, which are very well camouflaged. But they're never closer than the next public transport stop, so that it's not more attractive to take the car.
Remember when I was talking about economists working on making cities better? This is what I'm talking about. If you're building systems with your understanding of like X, Y, or Z models, you can have cities that make it more attractive to take the bus or the train. Look at, like, again, if you've never been to New York and you ever have the opportunity to go to New York, and I'm just talking about if you're an American and you can't currently go overseas, because if you can go overseas, go overseas. But if you can't go overseas and you have the opportunity to go to New York, even for like a day, go. Because you will immediately realize how shit the rest of the United States is. And New York is, like, their public transport in New York is like a joke if you go anywhere else that has public transport, by the way. Because it's like, it's dirty, we don't clean it enough, we don't maintain it enough. There's like stalactites and stalagmites growing off the fucking ceilings. There's like rat gangs ready to fucking shank you. Like it's not even relative to the rest of the world. It's not even good. But relative to the United States, it is one of the most marvelous cities here. And once you are there, you're going to realize, holy shit, I am a car cuck. I am a fucking car cell. Every city should be like this. There should be bullet trains between major cities, and major cities should have buses and trains that run.
My camera team and I are on board. We load 70 kilos of equipment into a cargo bike. Kurt Hofstetter isn't only one of the planners of Seestadt Aspern, he's also one of the longest residents.
At first glance, it's nothing special. All the initial development is pretty much just concrete construction, with a few exceptions. But the sustainable aspect is, it all comes from the lake. The lake didn't exist, it was excavated. In the environmental impact statement, it was stipulated that everyone driving in here with over a certain number of trucks a day would have to pay a toll. That made the concrete so expensive that it was cheaper to produce it on site with the plant we built here. So the first phase of Seestadt Aspern was virtually born out of the lake.
The artificial lake is the center of the neighborhood. The whole district is built slightly sloping towards it so that all the rainwater collects there. In addition, it's fed by the groundwater flow of the Danube River. Seestadt Aspern is home to some unique examples of sustainable architecture. At 24 stories and 84 meters high, the Ho-Ho is the world's second tallest wooden skyscraper.
Damn, I want to move
An
there.
office building is under construction here that doesn't need central heating or air conditioning.
Ho-Ho got me acting
Extremely
up.
thick brick walls make it possible.
The American brain cannot comprehend this. Concrete bricks. American brain is reeling, considering building something without fucking plywood and fucking paper mache glue and duct tape.
In the first phase, sustainability was not the big issue. Residential development was the main concern, and we didn't even realize that was a key to sustainability. That turned out to be the case when the first things started to work. We thought, wow, that worked. Now we can take it a step further. Then came social change, when suddenly in society and in politics...
Wait, you don't build houses with concrete in the U.S.? I just want you to see the average American home. Here is the average complex in America. Look at that plywood and those 2x4s. Yeah. Looks good. Looks good to me. And you'll be charging me $7,000 a month for renting? Excellent. Where can I sign up? Oh, look, this one might even be using a little bit of duct tape. Looks good to me. The home is where your heart is. That'll be $6,000. Yeah. It's like a treehouse.
Doors were opening. Early on, we argued about things like planting big trees and ended up planting...
I live in a condominium building built with concrete that's super heat and soundproof. You know, you don't have to flex on the rest of us.
Small ones. Now it's common practice.
Seestadt is built on spongy ground. Under the trees and plant beds, there's a layer of gravel 80 centimeters thick. The gaps are filled with a substrate of sand, compost, and biochar, which serves two functions. It can store water and also release nutrients. But many residents find the gravel beds around the young trees too drab. Various initiatives are trying to make them more attractive. But it's not all that easy.
Meanwhile, the United States doesn't even have fucking sidewalks. Meanwhile, half the time when you're walking around in the United States, the street just looks like fucking this. It's like, oh, love that for me. I love when I want to walk in my city and there's no sidewalk. That's good. That's good. And then you get on the lawn and some guy shoots you for trespassing. You were on my property, bitch. Well, I guess they don't curse. Isn't that good? You gotta love, by the way, like the flyers we give in America. You expect us to build sidewalks? No. You need to be more careful or the car is gonna hit you. Is this real? Haha. Of course it's not real. Haha. Don't look up pedestrian safety and awareness. Haha.
Hi, I'm Lisa. Here in Roanoke City,
Hi,
we're
Lisa.
lucky to have good
Everyone say hi, Lisa.
pedestrian infrastructure. But what do we do when the sidewalk ends?
Oh, what do you do when the sidewalk ends?
First of all, stay aware. Be off your phone and look around. Second of all, walk against traffic. If need be, you can walk in the street or the bike lane. Always have a route to safety, though, should a car come at you. For more pedestrian tips, visit us at Roanoke Transportation on Facebook.
What do you do when the sidewalk ends?
With everything that's going on, people are getting out and enjoying nature a whole lot more. Sidewalks are full of bikers, runners, walkers. But what happens where the sidewalk ends? Most of all.
Sorry.
But what happens where the sidewalk ends? See what it says. There is a place where the sidewalk ends. And that is where this story begins.
Whether walking at night or walking at day, believe it or not, there is a right way. If no sidewalk exists, neither near, neither far, it's safest to walk toward oncoming cars. It sounds crazy, I know, but truly, it is the right way to go. You see, if traffic's behind you, all you have is your ear, making it hard to know when trouble is near. By turning around, you can use your eyes too, and if something goes wrong, you'll know what to do. To be even safer, wear clothing that's bright, especially if you go walking at night. Mom and Dad, you should know that a child's
If you're blind, just fucking die, I guess.
vision still needs to grow. Compared to you and to me, kids see 30% worse peripherally. So look both ways before crossing the road.
Haha, luckily we don't sell cars where you can't see the child in front of the car. Luckily we're not the country that sells 1 billion trucks every year.
And don't forget all that's been told.
For that's how you stay safe.
Okay, it would be like the perfect Parks and Rec skit if you just got hit by a car right here. I'm just gonna say it in terms of comedic timing. This would be the time to get him to get hit by a car.
And don't forget all that's been told.
For that's how you stay safe, where the sidewalk ends. Have fun walking. Most of all, stay safe.
Welcome in.
Okay. No, it's not real. We don't have flyers and videos about how to be safe when you walk in the United States. That's not real. Don't worry. It can't hurt you. It's not real. This is so shit. I'm laughing my ass off. First world country, by the way. ADHD kills lust. See, it's not my fault. Do that fucking. They keep recommending me that fucking video. Stop. Oh, I didn't mean to close that. Anyways, my point with all of this is the system is like so fucked, and the reality is we have to reimagine the system entirely. We have to move away from this idea that we need homes with giant lawns in the suburbs. There is a better world if we can imagine it. There is a better world. The Gucci belt is now fallen. Please watch the lawn video of Climate Town. We have. It's a really good video. I hate lawns. I'm sorry. Like traditional lawns, I fucking hate traditional lawns. I really love people that do fun things with their yard where they like plant like flora that is native to the region, like native grass and cacti and plants that need less water, that need less maintenance. They just will take care of themselves for the most part. You can just wait. Like when it rains, they're doing well. When it's not raining, they're doing well. But 15-minute cities are a plot by the deep state. That's true, actually. That is true. I did read that on a website somewhere. Yeah, I've also heard about this one as well, where like instead of planting like grass, people plant clover because it needs less water and it needs less trimming and it needs less maintenance. And it's also prettier. Let me see if I can show you.
Clover lawns are a stupid trend.
I feel like this is a good time to
I hate
update you all on
I hate
our
this
Clover
video.
lawn.
This guy's a business bro. I can tell this guy's a business bro. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't want to watch the rest of it. I don't even care. I don't even care about the rest of it. Fuck you. Clover's also good for bees. Yeah, this guy owns a landscaping business for sure. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect everywhere all the time, but I'm a clover lawn believer. There's also, again, clover grass mixes or whatever. Clover's a weed. That's why it also grows so well. Well, Americans hate anything that naturally grows. Moss, too. Also, clover is softer. The grass that's used for modern lawns is the worst fucking species because it's rough and it's itchy. I clovered my lawn when I was in the East Coast. It was so much nicer than a grass lawn. Denims, I think she was about to roast that guy. No, I think he was the one playing the video, no?
Clover?
I think he was... stop. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong.
Clover lawns are a stupid trend.
I feel like this is a good time to update you all on our clover lawn, but I did want to address a few things from the previous video. One of them was that you can't walk on clover lawns, and that's not true. I'm sure grass lawn is hardier, but we walk on our clover lawn all of the time, and I'm using my hand here to zhuzh it up quicker, but when you walk on it or when you mow it, it does flatten out, but it literally bounces back up within 10 minutes. We chose clover over grass for a multitude of reasons. Grass takes so many resources to stay alive, and the state we live in is in a drought, and we did not feel comfortable using all of the water we needed to keep it green and alive, whereas clover really needs very minimal water, if any, to thrive. We are also approaching flowering season, and when clover flowers, bees and local pollinators really love it, which we love as well. We also have native vines planted, and we planted native wildflowers this year that we're really excited to watch bloom. Clover also adds nitrogen back into the soil, takes less water, resources, and maintenance than turf grass, plus you get a beautiful fairy garden out of it.
Clover lawn.
Am I supposed to hate this? I like it. Some fucking loser with no taste, wearing cargo pants and a t-shirt from Target here to tell you what looks good and what doesn't. Fuck you. Sorry. My hatred for people who like normal lawns is so strong. I apologize. I really do apologize. I'm sorry. Clover's invasive. You know what else is invasive? Mint. You know what I fucking love? Mint. Also improving your luck because there's going to be more 4-leaf clovers in there. Exactly. Can I also say fuck golf courses? Dude, all my homies hate golf courses. This is invasive. Cheeks. I hate golf courses. I hate golf courses so much. I wish we could I wish the state could just reappropriate all the land that is used currently for golf courses and just build public housing and house the homeless. I just think that the state should be able to do that. Is that so wrong? Is that so wrong? Is it wrong for me to want that